Welcome back to the Paris newsroom at France 24. Matthew Warren is here with the business news for us. Hello there.
Hi, Catherine.
We're going to be starting with Italy's Prime Minister, as promised before the break. He's continuing his tour of European capitals with a visit to Madrid, and he's got a very particular message, hasn't he?
Yes, that's right. He was there, of course, to meet the Spanish Prime Minister, Mariano Rajoy, and he's been arguing for more to be done across Europe, really, to help boost growth and, in particular, to fight unemployment as well, which is on the rise in Italy, as in many other countries. Well, Nicholas Rushworth has this report.
Growth, not austerity. The new Italian Prime Minister Enrico Letta was in Madrid as part of a tour of European capitals to argue for a switch in policy. He says he and his Spanish counterpart are natural allies. Italy and Spain, two major Eurozone economies, are reeling from austerity measures pushed by Berlin.
It's in everyone's interest to ensure a return to growth and less unemployment. There is no question of confrontation. We're looking for common solutions. I believe that we will find them with Germany.
Those thoughts were echoed by Mariano Rajoy, who said European growth measures had to work in tandem with measures at the national level. The EU had to do more. In Rome, meanwhile, the European Central Bank President Mario Draghi was defending austerity, saying there must be no U-turn on sound public finances in a bid to stimulate growth.
Budget policies must be kept on sustainable paths, beyond cyclical fluctuations. Without this premise, no lasting growth is possible.
The growth versus austerity debate continues then apace. It does so with Italy saying its economy is now forecast to shrink 1.4% this year.
That meeting happening in Spain. Next door in Portugal, there's also very high unemployment. And Matthew, a strong dose of austerity.
That's right. Unemployment there expected to reach 18% this year, and the economy shrinking by more than 2%. And as you say, Catherine, Portugal undergoing this tough austerity because they had this 78 billion euro bailout and, well, need to find ways to stick to the commitments that they made. These were protesters on Monday. Now, what they're protesting about are new proposals to cut 30,000 public sector jobs, also plans to increase the retirement age of civil servants from 65 to 66. Well, the lenders, the so-called Troika, as they're known, will be in Lisbon this Tuesday. They will be combing through the Portuguese finances just to make sure that things are on track.
OK, let's take a look then at the markets. Trade well underway over in Asia.
Yes, that's right. Asian markets all open for business, and for the Tokyo market, it's back to business after a 4-day weekend. And the traders there have been boosting prices. Of course, they hadn't had the opportunity to react to that rate cut in Europe, the unemployment figures, which were better than expected in the US, and they're up, as you can see, well over 3%. Meanwhile, on Wall Street, it was a slightly mixed picture at the trading day. The Dow slipped back very slightly below the 15,000 point again, but the S&P 500 there was up at a new high. Well, let's get some of the day's company news now. And shares in the US-based insurer MBIA rose by 45% on Monday. That followed an agreement with the Bank of America to settle a dispute. MBIA said it was tricked into buying risky mortgage securities by the Countrywide Bank, which was later bought by the Bank of America. Well, Bank of America also benefited from the news. Its shares were up 5%.
Staying with banking, and profits at Societe Generale were down by half in the first 3 months of the year. France's second largest bank said accounting charges were largely to blame. The bank has cut 1,600 jobs as it attempts to reduce its costs. It's looking for an extra 900 million euros in savings by 2015.
But rival French bank Crédit Agricole boosted its profits by 50%. It's selling off its Greek business Empiriki earlier this year helped lift earnings to just under 500 million euros. But like Societe Generale, Crédit Agricole also targeting savings. It's looking for around 650 million euros of cuts over the next 3 years.
Right, we're going back to Asia now, and a 40-day strike that's crippled the traffic at one of the world's busiest ports. It's now come to an end.
Yes, that's right. This is Hong Kong that we're talking about. In fact, the third biggest port in the world. And this strike there is the longest in the city's history. It's seen shipping companies switch even to other ports and seen one business go under. Well, Stephen Carroll has more.
Celebrating an end to one of Hong Kong's longest-running industrial disputes. Some 450 dock workers had walked off the job on the 28th of March, seeking pay rises of more than 20% and improvements in their working conditions.
We got 9.8% wage increase across the board for all the subcontractors, workers inside the terminal. So it's not just for the strikers, but all workers inside the terminal will get a 9.8%.
The workers had brought their dispute to the offices of the port operator's owner, billionaire Li Ka-shing. Their camp has been there for more than 3 weeks in an effort to embarrass Li into a climb down. Despite agreeing on a salary increase and additional breaks for staff, unions say the protest will continue. 100 crane operators lost their jobs during the dispute after the subcontractor that employed them went bust.
The fight is not over. We need to reinstate them or to get them re-employed inside the terminal, and this is something that we have to negotiate in the future.
Hong Kong is the world's third largest container port. One freight association has estimated the strike left a backlog of 80 to 90,000 containers there. At the beginning of the action, the port operator had estimated the dispute was costing them more than $600,000 a day.
Something very different now, back here in Europe. One of the most popular pop bands in the world, Abba. I grew up listening to them on my mum and dad's long plays. They have got their very own museum dedicated to them now in Stockholm.
That's right, because Abba fans, until now, if you go to Stockholm expecting a big fancy museum, which you might, given that they're one of Sweden's most famous exports, you've been a bit shortchanged. Until now, the museum will be opening this Tuesday. There you can see it, and indeed one of the members of Abba there. Now, of course, they have been going for, well, of course they stopped for a while, but they were founded around 40 years ago, selling almost 400 million albums. That makes them one of the most successful groups in the world. And then their music as well turned into the stage show Mamma Mia, that's played to over 50 million people around the world, and then a film as well. So plenty for you to enjoy if you want to go and relive the 70s and a little bit of the 80s. One of the singers from the group, Annie-Fried Lingstad, was there, and she said what she thought of the exhibition.
I feel very emotional about the thing because I was here yesterday to have a pre-look, and I think Imari has done an absolutely fantastic job. And I said it earlier, it's like stepping back in the 70s. She's really caught that kind of atmosphere that was there with a bit of an old-fashioned, with the framed pictures and all those things. It's not just technical, it's also with a lot of warmth and love.
I think Abba have actually been quite canny, haven't they, with their deals and things, because the two guys from Abba wrote the music for they helped with the film Mamma Mia and the musical, didn't they?
That's right, and I think they've even written for others as well. I was going to ask you what's your favourite Abba track, Catherine?
I don't know. You can't go wrong with a bit of Waterloo, can you? Especially when we're in France. So.
They love that one. I heard a French colleague singing Waterloo at her desk. I'm not sure if she really understood what
the diplomatic connotations. Well, yes. I'm sure the Abba Museum is going to be another Abba smash hit, another #1 success for them over there. Thanks very much, Matthew Warren, with all the business news and all of the Abba news here on France 24. Time for us to take a short break. Stuart Norval will be back with you with all the latest news updates for you. Don't go away.